And one of the meetings was a private meeting, I believe, between Shivaram Maharaj and the Queen's Council, who wanted to find out more what was going on before representing the Queen in the case. And this man had made an effort to find out about, the history of our movement before addressing the issue. So he said to Shivaram Maharaj, he said, "You do not know what an amazing thing your spiritual teacher has done." And he'd never seen, he had nothing to do with the Hare Krishnas, he was not following any principles, he was drinking probably and smoking and eating meat. And he said, "You do not know," he said to Shivaram Swami, "You do not know," who was the GBC at the time of England, "you do not know what an amazing thing your spiritual master has done." So of course Shivaram Maharaj didn't really know how to answer that. You say, "Of course I do," that doesn't sound very polite, does it? And if you say, "I don't," that makes you look like a real idiot. So it's a difficult question, a difficult statement to respond to. So she'd been in India a few times, how Indians yes, no type thing, And the man knew, you don't get these positions in the material world, just any old body, they do maybe misuse intelligence, but they have definitely, they're, a cut above the norm in terms of, sharpness and intellectual capacity and so on. So he said, "You don't know, and I'll tell you why you don't know. I'll tell you why you don't know," he said. "You're still a relatively young man." Because he said, I'm the same age as what your spiritual teacher was. I'm in my late 70s. I know how difficult it is. He said, "You don't know, you can't know. You can't relate to it." And he said, "No ordinary person could do what he did." Quite a nice, you could say, perception, to say the least. Something which we don't even appreciate ourselves. But when you're in that age bracket, some of you today are obviously over 30 years old. Some of you are over 40. Some are over 50. Some are over 60. Some are over 70. Maybe even 80, I don't know. And you know what it's like. When your memory, your ability to keep up with things, what to speak of relating to young kids from a completely different culture, isn't it? Yes. Drug taking, sexually inclined, young, proud sometimes, American youth. And Prabhupada's elderly, 75, 70 to 80 plus year old sadhu, brought up in a Vaishnava culture, never been out of India before, communicating and actually guiding these young men and women. They're quite extraordinary to such an extent, it became not just a fad, but a permanent introduction into the Western culture, if you want to call it that. Quite an amazing thing. And of course, in the Shivaram Maharaj inquired, how do you make that assessment? He said, because he read the Prabhupada Lilamrita. This man, the short version, it's called Your Ever Well-Wisher, maybe it's got other names too. It's a summary of Prabhupada's life and, of ISKCON building up around him. But please read it. I mean, it will make, how can you appreciate this mission if you don't understand the person who's behind it, Obviously, Krishna ultimately is behind everything, but his representative, Srila Prabhupada, who's done what no one else has ever been able to do, that's for sure. No one else has done that. Changing people's lives, I mean, before they met Prabhupada, well, what were the young men and women doing? I mean, they were all taking drugs. They were all, it was love and sex, peace, sex, drugs, rock music, crazy lifestyles, here come the Brahmins, watch out, don't touch those Brahmins. Here they come. High culture here. There's another thing, I mean, transforming, all these young people in the Western world who, literally they wouldn't bathe once in a month if you're lucky, Then they're bathing 3 times a day and, wearing dhotis and saris and putting on this, tilak and what have you. Quite a transformation, isn't it? And it happened real quick. I mean, in some cases it was overnight practically. One day they're, completely out there. Many times devotees would come to the movement and they'd arrive on the doorstep literally intoxicated. I mean, they weren't devotees then. I mean, they weren't like they were devotees who came intoxicated. I mean, there were people who came to the temple intoxicated, but they were so intoxicated they didn't really know what was going on. And they were like, it was all like, they use these terms, far out, wow. Is out. They've never seen anything like it. You go into Soho Street now, it used to be Bury Place. We went past Bury Place on the way here too. And Bury Place was where, the first temple, proper temple, it wasn't the first exactly, but it was the first proper temple in Europe. There was a little temple in Hamburg, but it was very small. This was the first proper temple with, real deities and real deity worship. And as you all know, most of you have been to the Soho Street temple? If you haven't been there, please go. It's a tirtha, it's a holy place within this, it's a holy dam within the dam hall. Is that right? Yeah. Maybe you like London, I don't know. Prabhupada called it hell. I remember, never forget, at the manor, maybe 1975, 76 maybe, I can't remember the year, but one year, after the class, one devotee, Krishna Vaish Mataji, she's still around, she's married, she lives in Nottingham, one devotee, with Indriyesh Prabhu, they're married. And she was Prabhupada disciple. She was a young girl. She joined when she was 15 or 16. She joined the temple. You could do that in those days. Many of the devotees were like 16 years old, living in the temple. By 17, when I first came, the temple president was 17 years old. He'd been in the movement 9 months. He was 17 years old, Bury Place. Maybe 1 year, Tribhuvanath. He was 17 years old, he was the temple president. It was like that, you can't imagine, how it was. Anyway, she asked Prabhupada a question. She said, Srila Prabhupada, is the Bhagavad Gita spoken in hell? And Prabhupada said, yes. We are speaking here in London. He also glorified that in such a hellish place you've made such a big city like this, such a kingdom in such a place. But when Prabhupada first arrived in Boston, which was 60 years ago, almost to the day, 60 years ago Prabhupada was in Boston, just a few weeks ago, 17th of September, he arrived. At this point of time he was in Butler. If you've read the Prabhupada Leelamrita, you know all these things. Isn't it? It's so nice to go through. I've just come from New York. We arrived a couple of days ago from New York. And Jainitai Prabhu was also, a week ago, came from New York, more or less. And Butler's not in New York. Butler is near Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania. But that's where Prabhupada stayed for a month, in the house of his sponsor, just to checking things out, what America was like. And we were just ruminating or discussing earlier on, wasn't it, Jainitai Prabhu, how ironic it was that last year in Butler, which is a tiny little place, I mean, it's really a small hick town, it means nothing to anyone practically. It used to be a little more significant in days of yore. They were making jeeps there for the war. But otherwise it has nothing really to offer. There's nothing special about it. It's a 10, 12,000 population, a very small town. And doesn't mean anything in America. But it so happened that the American president-to-be, I wasn't then the president, was on the campaign there. And whilst he was there, somebody tried to shoot him. He got shot. He didn't leave his body, he got clipped. But he was, it's amazing, in that little tiny town where Prabhupada, first place Prabhupada went in America, that's where, it's kind of strange these ironies of the situation. But Srila Prabhupada stayed there, then he came to New York after that. It's amazing to see how these things are. And he was completely alone at that age, no support whatsoever. And eventually, of course, he came to Bury Place. And they've seen the deities there, the beautiful deities of Radha Londoneshwar. Isn't it? Aren't they amazing? The deities. Prabhupada, more than any other, he said every deity was his favorite deity, no doubt. But more than any other deity that I've heard, and having talked to many devotees in different places at different times, that Radha Landaneshwar probably have the most hits when it comes to Prabhupada's favorite deities. He said the same thing about here. I mean, Dwarkadish, Radha Vrindavan Chandra, Radha Ratsa Bihari, Radha Shama Sundar, so many places. I would say the most hits are for Radha Landaneshwar. And Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, of course, very unique in their temple in Bury Place, first temple. So please do visit that whenever you get the chance. Render service if you can. Right now, we are in the beginning stages of a never-ending campaign. The campaign, of course, is to bring Krishna consciousness to everyone on the planet. Is that right? What do you think? Oh yeah, water's there. And primary method. What's the primary method Srila Prabhupada employed for bringing Krishna consciousness to everyone on the planet? Put your hand up if you want to suggest some. The primary method that Prabhupada employed for bringing Krishna consciousness to everyone on the planet. Anyone like to say anything? Put your hand up if you'd like to suggest something. Vaishnava Prabhu. Prasad. We knew you were going to say prasad and distribution. I chose a name for Vaishnava Prabhu, but I was told it wasn't appropriate. It was called Humble Crumble. Because he liked to serve me this gluten-free, sugar-free apple crumbles. So very humbly served, so I thought you must be Humble Crumble. But we didn't give him that name eventually. Gave him the name Vaishnav Das. So prasadam, well, this is certainly one of the, you could say, the most secret weapons. We call this the secret weapon, don't we? Because it doesn't look like a weapon exactly, does it? But it is a weapon, and this is one of the most significant point in a sense, so that's not what we're going to talk about, but this is the most amazing thing, especially in the early days of the Hare Krishna movement, or in a devotee's early days, even now. Oftentimes it's the prasadam which really does the trick, isn't it? I don't know about most of you are coming from Indian background, so it's not quite the same. However, I will say one thing. I went to Malaysia early '84. I spent about 12 years there, and Arjun Saka is from Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. He wasn't there when I was there, I don't think. I didn't see you. Can't remember seeing you there. But that was amazing to see that we introduced a new, because they're South Indians, the Indian people there are from Tamil Nadu. So some of you are from Tamil Nadu. How many of you are Tamils? So quite a few of you are Telugu. Any Telugus? Several Telugus. Any from Kerala? Quite a lot of South Indians here in South London, huh? South India, South London. And maybe some of you are from, where else? Karnataka? Anyone from Karnataka? It's not so common. So a lot of Sri Lanka. Anyone from Sri Lanka? No. So quite a few from South India. Well, you know, the diet in South India is a little bit different than the diet in Bengal or Gujarat or Punjab. You know, mostly is rice-based, isn't it? Lots of coconut, rice, you know, that type of preparations, especially rice. And, you know, dosa, idli, sambar, and all these different preparations, vada and so on. Chutneys of various kinds. And sometimes quite spicy. Not always, but sometimes. So Prabhupada, of course, in the West, I mean, those things were not known. And that wasn't the way Prabhupada was brought up in Bengal. But he very much liked Punjabi cooking as well, North Indian cooking. So he introduced a kind of a blend, you could say, of Indian cooking suitable to the Western tongues. In other words, not so spicy as perhaps many Asian, tongues like. So he introduced that. And then when we went to Malaysia, not Prabhupada, of course, but when I went there, we were, like I suppose the previous devotees who've been there too, we were cooking feast, Sunday feast. You know, the Sunday feast was very common. So we make things like halava and sweet rice and puris, very unknown to the local people there in India, in Malaysia, the Indians in Malaysia. And even the subjects were very different, you know, mahabrinjal, and the rice, pushpan rice with curd, chunks of curd, all kinds of different preparations like we were making in the UK at the time for the Sunday feast. And many of the Indians, what's this, you know? You know, they used to pongal, you have your pongal, but it's not quite the same as ISKCON sweet rice, you know, which is kind of liquid and light and, you know, sweet and a little bit different. And say, ooh, what's this? You know? The halava is not, they've got a kesari, it's not kesari, it's a little different halava made with, you know, butter and, you know, lots of other things inside it. It's not just like kesari, which tends, it's very nice by the way also, but it tends to be a little bit greasy comparatively speaking. Cooked in a different way, also a very different way of cooking. And, you know, it's kind of foreign to them, you know. They couldn't quite relate. Well, to speak of chapatis, and that's you know, North Indian. And they could, but after a while, you know, if they continued coming, they completely got addicted to it. Completely addicted. You know, the sweet rice was like out of this world, you know. It was like different. It wasn't, sweet rice, the way Prabhupada taught and the way devotees developed it was real kind of like, oh, there was so much effort would go into making first class sweet rice. Or to speak of sweets like sandesh and rasgulla and burfi and so many Bengali sweets, and then parathas, you know, parathas from Punjab. All these were very unusual, but they became very attractive. In many ways, that's what convinced many of the devotees. We made about 30 brahmacharis in about 4 years in Malaysia. They've hardly made 3 since then, I don't know, very few. But it was really attracting people. Very attractive. Prasadam should be first class. So tasty, you know. You can't resist it. And quantitative also, not that there should be a tiny bit, but sufficient so that everyone's satisfied. And served lovingly. Huh? Served with love. Traditionally, the servants were always the senior members of the community that served. I don't mean elderly, I mean in terms of their spiritual position. Not necessarily because you're elderly body, that's not the case. They should be served. They should be served. They shouldn't necessarily serve. But the sannyasis, the senior devotees, they used to serve the prasadam. So it was served very nicely. Very nicely. And honored. There would be no loose talk during prasadam. It's an act of devotion. Of course, amongst the general public, those standards are not expected in terms of, you know, what they're talking about or what they understand or which hand they use. All these things are not important. The fact that prasadam is being distributed widely, which is revolutionary, quite revolutionary. It's not just food distribution. We have food for life, but it's prasadam for life. It's really the fact that it's offered to Krishna. This is the unique feature. They may be attracted because I remember when I was in Christchurch a few days after the big earthquake. I flew straight there after the earthquake. And, you know, everything was broken. Literally everything was broken practically. Nothing was working practically. And the people were just walking miles just to get food. Literally miles. And the devotees had set up Food for Life, you know, truck. They had a truck and somehow they parked it in one of the worst areas. And they were serving halava, and people were walking for miles just to get a bowl of halava. They walked for miles just to get a bowl of halava. People fell in love with halava, you know. It's such a knockout. I think probably halava, the ISKCON halava, I don't know. It's not, I mean, it doesn't taste quite the same now. Maybe my taste buds are not the same, I don't know. But many devotees have said the same thing. It's similar. It used to have a much more deeper and richer and, I don't know, magical effect. You couldn't stop eating it. One of those things you couldn't stop eating. You couldn't say, it was difficult to say no, even if you had 3 platefuls, you know, like this big. You want more. It's not, kind of interesting, we're talking about this on the eve of Kartik, and the day after Raghunath Das's Tirubhav, you know. But you've got to get the real point of what is the point of all of this? What's the point of this movement? What's the point of Kartik? What's the point of the Acharyas, the pure devotees, the eternal associates of Krishna coming to this world? Is to attract people to Krishna consciousness, to awaken their Krishna consciousness, attract them to Krishna. So these are methods which they employ. If, you know, Prabhupada had come here imitating, if you know anything about Raghunath Das Goswami, how many plates of halava would he eat in a row? Maybe you don't know much about him. He was a prolific eater, was that right?
No.
Was he famous for eating vast quantities of prasadam? No? What was he famous for?
Only little bit of buttermilk.
Huh?
Only little bit of buttermilk.
Yeah, every 3 days he'd take a poundful of buttermilk. That's all he would consume. Every few days, if he remembered. Practically he wasn't eating. And, you know, when I first came to the temple, I was thinking that they didn't eat. I had never met a devotee. I had no idea of their lifestyle. I just read some of the philosophy and I knew this is what I wanted. So I came to the temple, but I didn't know what they really did. I thought they don't eat. They probably don't eat anything at all. I had a surprise of my life the first day I went to the temple. I've never seen anyone on the planet eat as much as they did. I couldn't believe how much they were capable of eating. Phenomenal quantities. I mean, I was just amazed. That was possibly the most amazing thing on my first day to the temple, was how much the devotees could eat. They're not so good at it these days, I've noticed. They become less qualified. And we would sit down when I first came, obviously when I joined, at the Sunday feast, and we knew who was the best candidate for Krishna consciousness by how much halava they ate. That was the test. That was literally the test, and it's not a joke. If you saw someone eating like 2, 3, 4 rounds of halava, you knew the person is probably a good candidate. And you preach to them, you know. It was unique. It was magic, as Vaishnava Prabhu said. Very powerful weapon. Kept devotees going. We had, you know, the turnover of devotees in those days, because people would just walk in the door, they didn't know where they were, shave up, and the next day they're sat there wondering what happened, you know. They got a bald head and bed sheets on. They're not quite wondering where they are. What am I doing? Where am I? You know, they came in on some drug or something, and then they shaved up that night after a big feast, and they didn't know what was going on, and they kind of sobered up by the morning. You know, so there was quite a bit of coming and going. You know, we would put dhotis on them even before they were shaved up. You know, they have long hair still. You know, going out and on the street in Oxford Street with dhoti on. You know, long hair and a beard with a dhoti on. They just, you know, they're still smoking. They got packets of cigarettes in their pocket and all sorts of things. Maybe more than that, but you know, it was a kind of quick hit kind of situation. Join on the spot, you know. So many of them would just come and drift in and drift out. So they would never leave on Sunday. Never. Saturday and Sunday, nobody would leave. It was always on Monday. Monday was the high, we have an ISKCON term called Bluk. The high day to leave the temple was on Monday, because the Sunday feast was over. If you sobered up by then, you were ready to go. But Sunday, nobody would leave because of the Sunday feast, you know. And Sunday night, you couldn't leave because you could hardly move. Stuffed up to the neck, you know. That was the idea. Fill them to the neck. Fill them to the neck. Anyway, you're coming from Indian culture, but this is one of the things that Srila Prabhupada for sure introduced, which was really a revolution. It's an amazing thing. Until this day, it's still an amazing thing. We're famous all over the world for our restaurants, for the prasadam, even though it may not be so, you know, sort of like overemphasized or as it could be. But it's an amazing thing, the prasad distribution. Take it upon yourselves. Now it's a bit of advice. Everyone. How many are devotees in this room? 80? How many? 80 devotees, would you say?
6.
Probably something like that, I don't know, 70 maybe. If everyone in this room would go wherever you go, carry something in your pocket which you can distribute. Let's say a cookie. You make the cookies and you offer them to Krishna, okay? Why are you doing that? Okay, maybe you've got kids, obviously the kids probably like cookies, you may also. But take some with you wherever you go. It's so, I mean, in Paris, I don't know, they use the term kick yourself. I mean, it's not a literal term necessarily, but you know what I mean? You regret it. You know, all the time we come to a light, you know, traffic lights, and there are beggars there. What do you do? What do you do? Close your windows, right? What else do you do? We shouldn't do that. It's very bad. We should always give them something. And what better to give them than Krishna Prasad? Something they can relate with. Don't say, hold your hand out and pour hot dal into their hands. That won't work. Or some hot, spicy, you know, preparation. No. Something they can relate with. Cookie is usually a winner. Isn't it, Jayanti Prabhu? Cookies are very good for general distribution. Most people can relate to the cookie. And a lot of times it's Muslim people who are begging, at least in France it is. So you have to tell them, what do you say? Halal, huh? Halal? Halal. Because that's one of their first concerns, halal. It's got to be, you know, acceptable. Acceptable. And you'll be amazed how many people take it and how happy they are. In New York, we were doing, I wouldn't, but Emil, you were going on Harinam in Newark, right? Newark is a kind of a rundown suburb of a big city, actually, next to New York. And they distributed maybe 70, 80 cookies each day, a big bag of cookies. Did people like it?
Yeah.
They loved it. It's a great way to capture people's hearts. Isn't it, Prasadam? It's one of the loving exchanges. Is that right, Jayanti Prabhu? Mukte Bojayate, you're saying. What? You speak English? Yes, giving prasadam, receiving prasadam is such a wonderful way to make friends. They may not like your philosophy, they may not like you. They may never come to the temple, but you can give them prasadam. Life will never be the same again. Try to offer it with love. What a great way to preach. Anyone can do that. You don't even tell them what. Don't say, oh, this is, I'm a Hindu, and this is the food which we offer to our gods. You know, the idols. We offer it to the idols. And, you know, we say all these Hindu mantras, and this magic food is magic food, you know. Don't say that. You know. You probably, well, keep it to yourself, mate. Yeah. If you just say, you know, I made this myself, and I love to share it with lovely people like you. You know, say something which, you know, makes them feel, kind of, you know, maybe a bit sentimental, but something which will help them to feel comfortable about taking it, you know. And if you're giving it to the kids, always ask the parents first. Don't go straight to the kids. Always ask the parents. Usually they agree. Usually. When to explain a little bit. Because the people like this. It's a natural thing for the human being to give and take, although we become a little afraid of it, a little fearful almost. But it's a natural thing to give and receive. And that's how this movement spreads. It's not just a philosophy, but nonetheless, the primary way. Would anyone else like to suggest a primary way that Srila Prabhupada envisioned, not just envisioned, but knew that this movement would spread? You could suggest a few other ways. Any other way? Yes? Thank you, Sita. Of course, there are other ways too. Book distribution. Not any old book, is it? Not that just any book, Harry Potter or whatever, yeah? Which books?
Chanting.
Yeah, that's a very good answer. That's another way, isn't it? That's another major way, chanting. But let's stick to the books first, then we'll go on to the chanting. Because everyone can take part in this also. Prasadam is up to you entirely. Even if you don't, you can ask a devotee, you can also get, maybe one of the ladies would like to cook cookies and give it to some of the guests to distribute, to people in general. You can put a little address on there or a contact number or something so they can follow up on it. What else? Books, we mentioned. Book distribution, Sita Balavi said. Book distribution. So, yes?
Harinam?
Well, that's what Prahlad said, the same thing, more or less, but you're both correct. But let's stick to books for now. How would we look at that? What would that mean? Obviously, we're talking of what type of books? Krishna conscious books, let's make it a little broad. Krishna conscious books, because some of the books are not written directly by Prabhupada, they may be written by his followers, or maybe other great Vaishnavas, but Krishna conscious literature. What's the purpose of that? What's the purpose? To win the book marathon? No. What's the purpose of that? To get your name up in lights. I distribute the most books in South London in the Prabhupada Book Marathon 2025. Where's that? We had a big book distributor. Are they here still? Who's that? Where are they? Huh? Where? They're all pointing to you, Mataji. Is this correct? Are you the big book distributor? Oop. Sorry to embarrass you like that. Embarrassment is humbling as well, by the way. Sometimes to be praised is the most humbling thing that can happen to us. Because you realize, it's a kind of realization you were thinking all along, I like to be praised. And then when we get praised, we feel so awful about being praised. Oh my God, And then you realize we're nothing. We're a fortunate instrument, you could say. So thank you, Satyabhama. You and other ladies distribute books sometimes?
Yeah, just try.
Trying your best. That's what our life is for. Trying. We can do, but we're trying to do our best. Huh? And what's the point of distributing books? Is it to make money?
No, spreading Krishna consciousness.
Pardon? Spreading Krishna consciousness. How does distributing Prabhupada's books, all Krishna conscious books, how does it work? What happens? Maybe they don't even read it. I mean, truth of the matter is, many people, even devotees, I go into so many houses. Of course, they have so many books. It's not just one book. But half the time you find, especially if we're giving a talk and say, can you bring the Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, Part 2? And they'll say, do you have it? Oh, yeah, yes, we have it. Where is it? I think it's in the garage. They go to the garage and search for the box, which is not yet opened. Then they bring you a beautiful book. Say, you're looking after your books very nicely, I must say. It looks as good as new. They've never even opened it. You're very busy. Grihastha life, I know what it's like. But try to at least put them on the shelf so that people can see them. It's like you're keeping deities in your cupboard forevermore. They are deities. They're no different than Krishna. So at least put them on a nice bookshelf. Make them seen. So anyone who comes to your house can see the deities in the form of the book. It's quite impressive. Yes, Mataji?
Actually, book distribution is amazing because my father-in-law, he was in the olden days, in the 80s, he was walking around London with his friends.
He was where?
Walking around London with his friends.
Walking around London with his friend?
And he went to Bury Place.
Went to Bury Place?
And when Prabhupada was around that time.
That's in the 70s.
Yeah, 70s maybe, yeah.
Well, it was. Prabhupada was there in the 70s
And
sometimes.
he picked up a Bhagavad Gita from there.
He picked up a Bhagavad Gita.
And he just left it on the shelf.
Left it on the shelf, and you read it.
And my husband read it after many, many years of became Krishna conscious.
There you go. There you go. That's how it works. Oftentimes the person who buys it doesn't read it, but someone else does. Or someone just looks at it, or the time comes 50 years after buying it, sometimes your life's coming to an end, you think, oh God, what was all that all about? Hey, what's that up on my bookshelf? And you see that book you got 50 years ago from some Hare Krishna in Oxford Street, and you pick it down out of the shelf and start reading it, and it makes sense. Suddenly you start to realize something. Better late than never. Yeah. Hey, what are you doing? What's happening back there? Oh, they're going to open the curtains. Jai. And this is another way Prabhupada had, isn't it? Haribo! 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 Come on. Another way Prabhupada had of bringing Krishna consciousness to the world, opening up centers everywhere. Every town and every village, huh?
Sankirtan.
Huh? What, with centers also. Prabhupada writes, he said, every householder should have deities in their home. Either Radha Krishna, Sita Ram, Gaurnitai, Lakshmi Narayan, deities in your home. But you should first of all find out what that means, not just whimsically, by the way. But that's one of the things Prabhupada wanted. Everywhere there should be centers of Krishna consciousness, not just one. There may be one prominent one in each city or each town or each country or whatever. But everywhere there should be centers. Prabhupada would say, like they used to have with the churches, almost every single couple of blocks there'd be another church, Prabhupada wanted that for Krishna consciousness, so everywhere people could access, find out what this is about. He wanted preaching centers. He wanted reading rooms where people could come and read. He wanted that the Grihastha devotees would open up cafes and restaurants with reading rooms everywhere. That was one of Prabhupada's last instructions on this mission. To have reading rooms, cafes with reading rooms. That can be adjusted according to time and circumstances. Facilities maybe now be audio-visual or something like that, But places where people could come and feel comfortable and find out about Krishna. Through cafes, everyone likes to eat and drink. Come to the cafe or the restaurant like that. He wanted it everywhere. How many restaurants do we have in England? ISKCON restaurants. In the UK, in England, just England. How many? Where?
London and 2 in Wales.
Wales is not England.
Oh.
That's why I said England.
Sorry.
How many do you have in England?
I don't have any large.
You don't have any. You have 4. You have 4 restaurants. 2 now, it's gone down to 2. Any rises or lowering on 2? How many in England? How many? Come on, tell me, how many in England? England. Not Scotland, not Wales, not Ireland, England. Huh?
Just one.
2.
Where?
Central London, they opened it. They opened the second one.
Oh yes, same restaurant though, they've opened up a branch.
Come on, Marge, you can't.
No, it's just a little tiny cafe just around the corner. It's opened up in Studio 108. So up to that moment, which has only just started as well, 1 restaurant. Isn't that amazing? In the whole of England, 1 restaurant. You'd think there'd be more. It's so effective. I'm not saying no fault, but I'm just saying it's amazing that there's only 1 restaurant in the whole of England. They have 2 in Wales, is that right? 1 in Cardiff, 1 in Swansea. And Wales is smaller than England, Wales? It's not, there's more people in England than there are in Wales? Sure. But they have double the number of restaurants there. In Australia, anyone from Australia? No? Anyone from Australia? The manager of the new cafe in the New York temple, they got two kind of restaurants in the same temple there, basically, more or less. So the manager of the cafe there, it's called Kadamba Cafe, named after Kadamba Kanamaj. He's from Australia. He was managing several restaurants in Australia before he came to New York. And now I don't know the numbers. Now he's left, and there's not so many. Some of them closed down, I'm afraid, during COVID. But there were, I would say, in the Gold Coast. Have you heard of the Gold Coast? Part of Australia called the Gold Coast. It's like a town. It's like a big city. Got about 300,000 people living there. They had 7 restaurants there. 300,000 people, 7 restaurants. There's not that now, maybe 4 now. And even in the village next to New Govardhan farm, there's only 7,000 people. They have a restaurant, and it flourishes. Restaurants. People like to eat. When you make the prasadam according to what will attract them, not what attracts us. Preaching means not what I like, but what will capture the person you're communicating with. Communication is based upon that. It's not just a one-way traffic communication. To understand what they can digest. You know that educating children, you have to educate them according to their capacity to digest what you're talking on. So like that in preaching, food, prasadam, according to the people's, it's like in the middle of the summer, it's 45 degrees outside, and you're serving hot, spicy dal and thick chapatis, and it doesn't click, you've got to use your common sense. So that's what they do in Australia. They tailor cut it to the type of people, the season, everything. Very successful, very successful. Anyway, that's one thing. Prasadam, centers, which includes prasadam, of course. Now we're on to the books. And the books are, what do they do? I mean, you heard one thing or 2 things. What do they? We heard somebody read the book much later on. What is the purpose in terms of deep down?
To arise curiosity.
Excuse me?
To arise curiosity in someone, at least.
Curiosity?
Curiosity.
Well, some people will read, there's 4 ways people come to Krishna consciousness. Huh?
Yeah.
One is just like that, so kind of a curiosity. So that's the fact. Some people may read them for curiosity, but it has to go a little further. I mean, that's okay, that's good. But the real intention is to go further. What's the deeper effect of what Prabhupada's writing? He's not just another author, is he? Or is he?
Change of the consciousness.
Changing people's consciousness, their perception. Pretty much everyone in the world today is more or less educated in Western ways of seeing. Well, we call it Western. It's not Western, Eastern, Northern, or Southern. But you know what I mean. The modern kind of educational system which sees the world in such and such a way. Maybe it's based on some sort of semi-Christian principles of some kind. But it's mainly it's just a materialistic perception of the world, isn't it? Mainly. Would you say so, Lochan? More or less. He's a wise man from Brighton. More or less based on a materialistic perception, which is underlying. It doesn't have to be. It can be theistic, but basically it's got a lot of atheistic aspects to it as well. And it's, I don't know what the exact term is, but it's a very materialistic approach to perception of the world and ourselves. Life, you only have one life, you didn't really exist before this, you're a chemical reaction, and when the chemicals react differently, you don't exist anymore. Something along those lines, and the whole world is a chemical reaction. It's based mostly on that principle, and people see themselves. Now, another aspect is not just seeing it from a material perspective, but it's seeing it from the fact that we're seeing the world with ourselves in the center. Is that correct? Would you say that's a correct perception, that we all see the world from myself, it's self-centered, isn't it? Even as aspiring devotees, much of the time we're living our lives in that way. When somebody doesn't do what we like, they didn't give us the gulab, or didn't give us the bigger gulab, they gave the next door neighbor a bigger gulab. Why do they get a bigger gulab, and my gulab is only half the size of their gulab? Or they've got a nice puri, and my puri is soggy and greasy, and theirs is nice and puffed up and crisp and dry. What is this? They got something against me, or what? We tend to see ourselves in the center to some degree, at least. And we're always worried about what people think of us, and so on and so forth. This self-centeredness, which is just a common denominator of being in this materially conditioned world, but That's a major type of perception, isn't it? Another type of perception would be that we're the right ones. Now, when it's raining, rain's coming down. Transcendental rain. Here we go. Another common one, when I was a kid, we were brought up education that England is the center of the universe. Literally, I mean, England was the only one that really was of importance, and everyone else was like a kind of a descendant from England, second class descendants, And that's the way we were brought up, basically, nationalism. Very much identified with nationalism, isn't it? And this is a very big issue in the world today, of course, in so many ways. You could go on and on. We won't go down that channel too far, but you can know for yourself how much this nationalistic fervor, that this is our country, we are Americans, we are English, we are whatever we are, Indian, French, whatever. What are you, English?
English, yes.
English.
Yes.
You're a real English man.
Yeah.
Good, glad to hear it. Man of my own cut, that's right. A true Pommy. So, we tend to have a kind of nationalistic mentality. And all these things are normal, it's not decrying it necessarily. Another one is religious identity, isn't it? That we're the only one. When we have a lack of maturity or lack of spiritual perception, we tend to see it like that. All this is based on ignorance with a deep, it's a spicing of fear. Fearful. We're insecure. We're looking for security. We're looking for identity. People naturally in this mature would have basic problems, identity crisis, but they're looking for identity where they feel some security, some protection, some justification, whatever it may be for what they're doing. So this is another, you could say, I would say trap necessary. It can be helpful in some ways, but it can often be a cause of, let's say, misperception. Misconceptions and misperceptions and basically ignorance of the goal of life. And hardly anyone knows what the goal of life is. Hardly. I mean, naturally persons who are somewhat religious will say to love God, but when you ask them what does it really mean, there's not a very deep understanding what it means to love God. It's not enough just to say I love God and go to some institutional meeting once a week. It's not enough. Loving somebody is not just, if you say, who's your husband? I don't know. What does he do? I don't know. What's your relationship? I don't know. I love him, but I don't know. What's he look like? I don't know. Where does he live? I don't know. I love my husband. It sounds a little strange, doesn't it? What do you think, ladies? Some of you are married. Well, do you think that sounds strange? You say you love your husband, you don't know who he is, you don't know what he looks like, you don't know where he is, you don't know what you're supposed to do to please him. Sounds strange, doesn't it? What do you think? Does it sound strange, boys? They agree. I don't know, the ladies are not quite sure. They're not quite sure. Maybe they don't know what you look like, I don't know. But it's definitely not, you'd expect, quite a lot of knowledge to be there, at least understanding how you can please your husband, even if you don't know everything about him, but at least how you can please him. So if you love somebody, naturally you're going to think of what they like, isn't it? What they like. So to find out what they like. So this is a practical aspect of the change. And Srila Prabhupada is making it clear in his books what Krishna likes, how you can love him. That's what Prabhupada came to the West. And Prabhupada asked, why have you come here? He said a few different things, but primarily he said to what? To teach you what you've forgotten. And if you went to what's it called, you had that program a few weeks ago in London for the volunteers, what did you call it? That volunteer program? To honor the volunteers. What was it?
So he wasn't there. Oh, he wasn't there.
Volunteers.
There's no excuse, you still know what it was called. Anyway, whatever it was a program to thank the volunteers and the devotees from Soho and devotees from other, Kripamoy was there and other devotees were there, to say thank you to all the devotees who'd helped throughout the year in various ways, Krishna conscious ways, the movement. And they also did a drama there. I wasn't there, but I saw a bit of it and I heard about it. They tried to get me to be there, to be in it. But that was one of the scenes, wasn't it? Sankirtan Priya Prabhu, some of you know him, played the role of Srila Prabhupada. And what I saw of it, he was pretty good. One of the best Prabhupads I've seen. I don't know if you watch it. You watch it, Jainatai Prabhu?
Yeah, I saw it on YouTube.
On YouTube. I thought Sankirtan Priya was really good at playing the part of Prabhupada. Really good. I mean, it's the hardest part you can ever imagine to play. But I thought he was really good. And the way he walked, the way he danced, the way he talked was pretty good. He would have done good in Bhakti True Maharaj's program. But anyway, it was pretty good. And that's what did he say? I've come to teach you what you have forgotten. And what have we forgotten? Who is God? And because people have no idea who is God and what it really means, and what is their relationship with, so many people have no interest in it whatsoever. It's just a sort of sentimental thing in the air with no substance. Nothing solid. It's faith, blind faith, they say. Prabhupada came to open our eyes. You are blind, but to open our eyes. And what does Krishna say, how our eyes are opened? In the Bhagavad Gita? Torchlight of knowledge. Where is the knowledge of spiritual life? Where is it? There's some partial knowledge here and there, there's some misinformation, and there's an awful lot of ignorance. Prabhupada has come to give knowledge, real knowledge. Otherwise we remain in ignorance. It's like the kids, if they don't go to school, they remain in ignorance, materially speaking. Huh? They have to be educated. And spiritually especially, people have next to no knowledge whatsoever. Next to none, isn't it? Some speculation, maybe they heard a bit from their grandmother or something. But next to nothing. So Prabhupada has come to give that knowledge which will open our eyes, so we can see what's there. Even if you read the Bhagavad Gita, if your eyes are closed, what will you read? If the sun rises, what can you see? Even the sun's risen, you could see, but your eyes are closed. What can you see? Some vague colors are there, but you can't see where you're going. You've got to open your eyes. So Prabhupada is Om Jnana Tirandasya Gyananjana Shlakaya. Come to open our eyes which are blinded with ignorance, the darkness of ignorance. And how is he opening them? With the torchlight of knowledge. Knowledge, practical knowledge, not just theory. Practical knowledge which will help us to change our perception. That you'll find in the books. And those books go far and far away. I remember when I was in Kenya, I was in Kenya in the 70s. Any of you from Kenya? You're from Kenya? Anyone else from Uganda? Anyone from Uganda? Do I need to tell you you're not from Uganda, are you? I thought I saw your hand pop up there. Hey? Huh?
My better half is from
Your better half is from Uganda. Okay, you're half Ugandan. More than your better half, so you're more than 50% Ugandan. I was also in Uganda. I went to Uganda in the late 70s, early 80s. So in Kenya, I never forget, it's one of the, in terms of books and the effect of the books, we were doing traveling Sankirtan. We had a van. We were traveling around in 78 or something in Kenya, around the villages, all the black villages. And the people were real sweet, and we were going everywhere we could around Uganda, around Kenya. We look in the map. They never had Google or what is this other one called? What's it called? The one we were using. What was it called? Waze. They never had all these things. It was just a map. And the maps of Kenya were not very developed at that stage. So we saw this one town. It looked like a major town. It was the local area capital. No one had ever been there on site, so we decided to go there. It didn't show the relief, the mountains and things on the map. So we didn't realize at that point it was in the middle of a mountain range. So we were driving like 6 hours going round and round and round like this to get to this little town. And when we got there were 2 houses in the whole place. It was in the middle of like a jungle in the middle of the mountains. And it was like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon by the time we got there. And we bought this van full of, Ugali and Maragwe, if you know what that is. You know what Ugali and Maragwe is, don't you? Yeah, Maragwe and Ugali. It's an absolutely wonderful, you should prepare it for the Sunday feast here in London. The people love it. They'll never go away. They won't be able to go away after that. It's like putting lead in your stomach. It's like boiled maize meal, just literally. Thick boiled maize meal, just like a big blob. And inside that, they made like cement. If you ever made cement, you take it like this, you push it aside and you pour the liquid inside and stir it up. Yeah? And they pour this boiling hot preparation of beans inside, hot spicy beans, big fat beans inside, boiled up. I don't know what else they put in there. I hope it's vegetarian. But anyway, they put this in the middle of it and they kind of like take a whole hand like this and there's no end to how much they can eat. Incredible. So we had 2 huge pots full of this Ugali and Maragwe. And we had about 100 Rudi Mungos, means back to Godhead. So we went into the village. We thought, well, God, what are we going to do? We've come all the way here. At least we can go out and chant Hare Krishna. Maybe some people will come. But within about 5 minutes, there were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people gathered around us. They were living in the jungles, I think. They all came out of the jungles. All these ladies, what do you call them? They have these straw dresses, and they're quite big, big, what's. And they're all dancing around, Men with spears and short swords all dancing, It was far out, they may have been Maasai. I don't know. I don't think they were Maasai there, but I was thinking there were. Yeah, but there were other groups there too. Many different groups are there. Anyway, whatever they were all very happy. They were dancing with us, beating on their drum. Boom, 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 boom. It's really far out. Very colourful with all their, things that they wear. And it was really fun. And one of the devotees, we had about 6 of us, 2 or 3 spoke Swahili, so then he spoke a little bit, and I'm there with the Rudi Mungo, the magazines, Penny Mojo, and they all queued up. Somebody said something, the village chief or whatever got them all queued up for their Rudi Mungos, and they all came with their Penny Mojos, about like 1 penny, 1 pence. So they all gave a little something, otherwise you have a stampede. So they all lined up and gave their 1 penny and took, all the magazines went, and all the prasadam went, everything. They were quite well behaved, I must say, more than many. And they didn't, attack us because the prasad ran out. They were quite appreciative. And, by now it's almost twilight. We're just about to drive, quite dangerous driving on those roads at night to say the least, but what could we do? We couldn't stay there, we had to drive back down the mountains somehow or another. But just as we were leaving, one little black boy came up and spoke to the driver, who was Swahili, said his dad wanted to see us. And, I said, who's his dad? He said he's the village chief. And now, he wants us to come to his house. Now that can mean a few things. No way of telling what that means. Quite often they want to offer one of their many daughters to you in marriage. It's quite a common thing, which of course would be an awkward one to say no to, especially being out in the wilds like that. Yeah, you could be in the pot for dinner quite easily. So it was a very delicate situation, dangerous. Anyway, I asked him to find out more, and the driver said he's assured that's not the reason he wants to see us. That's not the reason. So we don't know what other reason it is. So Anyway, we couldn't really say no. It was one of those circumstances which we could have been attacked if we said no. We really didn't know what to do. So anyway, we went, taking, depending on Krishna, we went to and he had one of the houses, of course. There was 2 brick houses and one of them was his. There were a few mud huts and some straw huts around and about. And we went there, and his room wasn't as big as this. But when we went, it was quite a big room. Quite a big room. He was sitting, a big, very big black man. He was very big sized. Sit behind a table. He had a table in there, he sat behind the table. We came in, 6 of us, and he looked at us. And then he opened the drawer of the table. And what, I don't know. I can use it as an example. We got any books here? Just to use an example. Any books? I've only got a small book. Okay, there we go. Well, this is beautiful. Prabhupada nectar, that's wonderful. But imagine this is the Bhagavad Gita, okay? He opened his drawer and pulled out Bhagavad Gita. And he said, "Is this your book?" Again, you'd have to, yes. He put it down. He said, "I want you to stay here and teach me this book." In the middle of nowhere, he had the Bhagavad Gita. No one had ever been there before. Never. I don't know. I left the country shortly after that. The devotees were supposed to go back there and communicate with him. He got it at some village head, tribal head meeting in the town, like, Nakura, I think it was in Nakura. And he got it there from somebody gave it to him, and he brought it back to his village. And he said, "This is the book of God," he said. These books are doing what we cannot do. They're going everywhere. And they're transforming people's lives. And they'll transform our lives if we take them to heart. The trouble is we don't necessarily take them to heart or put them into practice as much as we could. We don't even read them sometimes. And if we do, we just glimpse over them. It's the greatest opportunity to associate with the greatest devotee of the Lord, who's giving us the window to the spiritual world. He's giving us the gateway, opening the gate to Vaikuntha, to the spiritual world. All the keys are in here. Just get these books. So now, on that note, we'll mention briefly, I started off practically saying we're in a kind of campaign at the moment. What is the campaign? Who knows? Satyabhama, what's it called? The campaign, what's it called? Live to give. And it is actually our business as spiritual beings to give what we've got. Sometimes in the material world, when we're self-centered, we want to get. We want to get. We like to get. We like to be loved. We like to be served. But the actual reality is we should look at this wonderful young lady. What is she distributing the flower? Good girl. What a wonderful young lady. Look at that. What wonderful. That's such a wonderful devotee. Boy or girl? Girl. Sometimes we were coming through the immigration. Yeah, immigration. Into New York, I think, into Newark. And the devotee was traveling with me, Jivananda. Were you with me then or not? Maybe it wasn't Newark. Maybe it was somewhere else. It was just him and I. So sometimes when you go through that machine, you walk through and the thing goes off. You got something on your shoe or still something in your pocket or whatever it is, a ring that makes a noise. That thing that you walk through. So, then they kind of they feel you up, if you're a man, the man comes out, if you're a woman, a lady does it, And Jivananda said, "Oh, thank you for the nice massage." And the guy laughed and he said, I can't remember what he said. It said it was so difficult nowadays. He said, you can't tell whether they're men or women. That's what he said. You can't tell. You were there? Yeah, you were with us. It's so difficult nowadays sometimes. Not so easy as it used to be. So anyway, this Live to Give campaign, and our nature is to give. Our nature is to love, try to love others in whatever way we can. And if we don't have any love, at least we can share the love of somebody who does. Srila Prabhupada. And Krishna, of course. And all the devotees in these scriptures have nothing but their vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. What is that prayer that some of you say? What does it mean? We offer our respectful obeisances unto all the devotees, Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who are just like desire trees, fulfill the desires of everyone, and who are full of compassion for all the conditioned souls. Full of compassion. Fulfilling their desires doesn't mean, materially you might think, oh, they go to a Vaishnava, he'll fulfill my material desires. I want a new car, I want $1 million, £1 million in England. I want a nice wife. That's not what we go to the Vaishnava for. Fulfilling our real desires, spiritual, the need of the soul. Not that the material desires are insignificant. They come and go, but that's not what they're there for. The Vaishnavas are there to help us to connect with Krishna, to remember what we've forgotten. Our relationship with Krishna. The greatest gift anyone can ever give. So if you ever give a gift, do you give gifts on Diwali? On Diwali? Different parts of India, they do different things. In South India, they open the doors. Everyone is welcome to come and eat in their home. Especially the children are given gifts. And everyone's given nice food stuff, whatever their religion is, whatever their beliefs are. You don't discriminate, everyone is welcome. You give. In some parts of India, maybe it's different, I don't know. But in the West, on Christmas, everyone gives gifts, right? Is that right? They still do that? To some extent. They give gifts. And we got Halloween coming up. When's Halloween? You were in America, you must know when Halloween is. Come on.
31st of October.
31st? 31st. There's 31 days in October?
I hope so.
Maybe your president will change it to 30, so they don't. 31 days in October. On 31st of October is Halloween. Of course, in America, it's like the biggest thing of the year. I saw already in most of the gardens, they've already got pumpkins and skeletons everywhere. Isn't it? I don't know if you noticed that. I was driving around New Jersey particularly. So many houses, the gardens are full of pumpkins. These big orange pumpkins, they decorate them, faces on them, and skeletons, massive skeletons, not real skeletons, of course, but hopefully not anyway. Maybe they are, I don't know. Some kind of effigies of skeletons in the gardens, and ghosts, ghostly looking things. It's a very weird festival, I must say. It's really tamasic, isn't it? Seems really tamasic. Yeah. Anyway, they seem to like it. The Christians, everybody gets into it. Massive thing. And, what they say, treat or trick, is it? Trick or treat? Treat or trick? Treat or trick. The kids go around, you've got to give them a gift, otherwise they'll, some curse or something like that. Probably not real, but I mean, some trick or something. You're going to. What do they do if you don't give them a sweet?
Cry.
They cry. Okay. Oh. So pretty much everyone does. The whole house is full of sweets. Even devotees' houses are full of cookies and sweets to give the kids when they come round. It's kind of like a natural thing, to give. And what better way to give Krishna conscious prasadam that day? If people are coming around, make sure they don't do it in England. I don't think it's a big thing, but in America, New Zealand also, it's really big. Kids coming all the time, knocking on the door, trick or treat, and you have to give them a sweet. Otherwise, they cry all. Whatever. I don't know what else they can do, but traditionally, it probably had a bit more of a connotation to it. So you give them prasadam, nice cookies, cakes, whatever you can make. Whatever nice things you can make like that. Wonderful way to give and take. And the books, of course, fantastic. So Live to Give. Live to Give campaign is to distribute primarily. This is how it's been. Oh, what's this? Goodness me, what is it? Oh my word, I don't know what it is. There's something on the book. Whatever it's moving, that's for sure. Yeah, it's some kind of worm or something. It was on the book. Careful, no, you can't. Yeah.
Oh, it's a snail.
Is it a snail? I think I've heard it. I'm pretty sure I've injured it. I didn't realize what it was, I just noticed.
Should I take it?
At least it's a bookworm.
I'll take it.
Most of us are not bookworms, that's for sure. That shows how regularly you're reading this book. Anyway, at least someone other you can recognize by the devotees. I hope he progresses in his spiritual life. I definitely injured it because I didn't know what it was. I was playing around and I didn't even see it until I said that. I must have hurt it. My offense. Have you put him outside on the tree? Huh?
Yeah.
Outside safely on a tree or something, or a piece of grass. Good, good. Very good. Yeah, so please take part in this campaign. Have you got any plans here, Satyabhama, in South London?
We distribute to the monthly Sankirtan Maharaj, and they started now because we have brahmachari staying at the temple now. No,
Who's staying here?
Damodar Prabhu.
Where's Damodar? Hands up, Damodar. You're brahmachari?
No, not brahmachari. He's like temple resident.
You need some. We have some dye if you want. You can dye if you like.
So
He's staying here.
Yeah, he's trying once a week at least.
Once a week. Everything's good. Anything's better than nothing, isn't it? Say there's 70 devotees in this room. If everyone distributes one book a week, how many is that? I think there's 80 now. There's more devotees now than when we started. 80 books, one book a week each. How much is that? And what's that come to? 80 devotees, one book each. How much is that?
320.
Huh?
320.
80 devotees, one book a week. How many a week is that? 80 books a week? Good, well done. 80 books a week. Maybe you can do more. 80 books a week. If you're doing none, that's a lot more than what you were doing before. Giving out one book a week is not impossible. Carry a book with you wherever you go. How many books have you got on you now? Who's carrying a book in their bag? Where's your bag? Outside. Good. What type of book?
I think it's a...
I didn't say Krishna book. It was Harry Potter book, is it? No. Science of Self for distribution or for reading?
Yeah, I've got 2 bags of Gitas in my car as well.
She's got 2 Gitas. She's prepared. Jai. What's your good name?
My name is Harry.
Harry.
Yeah.
Hari. 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 Hare Krishna. Well done, Hari. From Harry Potter to Hare Krishna. Transformation. Yeah, no, it's not so difficult. You'd be surprised. Or maybe you go into the doctor's clinic and, you know, sometimes you can leave books behind. I was on a walk the other day in New Jersey. I saw these, they have these like boxes where people put their books in, you know, and you can put books in there too, you know. I don't know if they have them in England, they have them in France. You know, they what they call them, boîte livre, la boîte livre. These book boxes, they have them in all the villages, you know. You can put your old books in there and take a book out, read it, put it back, or put another book in. You know, people, they're quite popular actually. They're quite popular. Yeah, and they're all over the place. I don't know if they have them in England or not, but you check it out and see. You can put books in there, you know, huh? You do, there you are, very good. So keep doing it. But anyone can do that. You don't have to be a book distributor to do that exactly. I mean, when we talk about anyone can do it. You just have to know how to open the door and put the book in. It's not very difficult, isn't it? Simple thing to do. I mean, these are easy things that anyone can do. Or leave one in the doctor's clinic. Sometimes they have books lying there. Leave a magazine or a book there or something. Or whatever it is. I don't know what facilities you have, but there's always somewhere. Or you send a gift to a relative or a friend. You give it to them on Diwali or whatever it is. You know, you can, especially now with the Bhagavad Gita campaign. You have a lot of Gitas here.
Yes.
You have a lot.
Yeah.
You're based here too, Harry?
Yeah.
Good. So always see if you can be a part of this. We're a part and parcel, Mami Vanksa Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. We're all part and parcel of Krishna. So this is Krishna's mission. So we can be a part of his mission also. Isn't it? You know, we're part of his family, so our family business, as Vaisheshika Prabhu has written, let's be a part of this business. Huh? Be a distributor. Be a distributor of this knowledge. Pass it on. Everyone can take part. Last night in Vaishnav's house, how many Bhagavad Gitas did that madman distribute? 100. 100 Gitas at the program last night. I don't know if we can do. You want to do 100 today or more? I don't want to embarrass you. You may have a whole plan going on here. Huh? Pardon?
So would be trying.
Try it. But everyone can try. I mean, if you can't do, then at least you can sponsor, you know, the distribution. Or you can make prasadam for others to distribute. Be a part, join in, don't just be a spectator. Sunday spectator. Be a part of the mission. You know. Then you really feel the sweetness of Krishna consciousness. It's much sweeter to distribute a cookie than it is to eat it. Much sweeter. What do you think? Kirtida? Sweeter to distribute a cookie or eat it?
Distribute.
Distribute. Well done, Prahlad. Well done. So especially, well, of course, with the books, they're sweet in every respect. We should read them also. But also share it with others. As it's transformed millions of people's lives, this knowledge has had such an effect on the world. Jayanitai, would you agree or not?
I agree, Mark.
You agree, okay. Confirmed. As the representative of the United States of America, the ambassador, has agreed. The ambassador for of America in South Norwood has agreed. So I don't know. I don't like kind of like pushing these things in terms of being in a situation where I'm not in any position of authority or anything. But I don't know who the authority is here. Who's the authority here? Besides Krishna, is there anyone else? Who's the authority? Navadvip Chandra, where is he?
He's in India.
He's in India. Where are we doing in India, Navadvip Chandra? Come back. Who else is an authority here?
Yeah.
Pardon?
Prihat is.
Priya? Brihat. Brihat Madanga? You've got the right name. Come on. Perfect name for this. Brihat Madanga means the printing press. Huh? The big Madanga, the book distributor. So try to see that you can distribute as many Bhagavad Gitas as we can, huh? During this. Always, but especially this next 3 months. Huh? This is up to the end of the year. Many, many opportunities are there. And how many, do you have sponsors for the Gitas? You've got it all lined up? Okay. So I'm sure you have another program for that. I don't want to push that tonight. It's not my business unless you want me to. I'm not the authority here. And it would look very embarrassing if nobody takes anything anyway. So. I feel like a right idiot. You stood there now trying to get sponsors and absolutely nobody comes forward. Who would like this book? Not this one. Only that snail liked it. Anyone else wants. You probably don't want it after the snail's been on. But, you know, some of this is like that. You know, an absolute dumb faces looking at you, nothing, absolutely nothing. Not one person comes forward. You know what to do, you know. Hey, what are you doing there? Poking your tongue out with a camera. What next are you going to do? You have to do it on this side, not that side. You did it on the wrong side. So any offers for this book? Any birds here? Birds like snails. You came up by seagulls, so you must like. We came by pigeon. Seagulls like snails. For the wrong reason. For themselves it's the right reason. For a bird to eat a snail is not wrong. It's their food. Jivasya jiva jivani. That's the food. It's not our food. It's the food of birds. Or the snail, some other thing is the food. Everyone's got their food. Anyway, this one's not for sale. This is a temple copy, so put it back. But please, please, please take advantage. The one who gains the most is you. Isn't it? You get the most mercy. No one is more dear, Krishna says to Arjuna in the end of the Bhagavad Gita. There is no one more dear in this world than one who spreads this message of Bhagavad Gita. The dearest to me. Devotional service, he says, for him is guaranteed and he will come to me. It's a guarantee. If you take part in this distribution of the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, you're guaranteed. A ticket. You get a ticket back to Godhead. If I ask who wants a ticket back to Godhead, you'll be in two minds how to answer that. In one sense, yes, I'd like a ticket back to Godhead. On the other side, wait a minute, now he's going to expect me to sponsor a whole box of Bhagavad Gitas. The ticket is free, but it's not free. We've got to give our hearts, change our perception. Vishaya charya kabe Shuddha habe man kabe haya he rabo Shri Vrindavan. You want to go back to Vrindavan, what do you have to do? You have to sponsor a box of Bhagavad Gita. That's what it says, isn't it? That's what Narottam Das is singing, isn't it? Is that right, Jainitai Prabhu?
Almost, my friend.
Almost. Yeah. 2 boxes.
2 boxes.
2 boxes. You have to be willing to give up this idea that everything is for my pleasure. Sense gratification means, I think this is meant for my pleasure. It's meant for Krishna's pleasure. That's the different change in perception. And by offering it to Krishna, you automatically feel all your desires can be satisfied by offering it to Krishna. So whatever we have, if we offer that to Krishna, we're the one who really gains, isn't it? I was talking to a devotee the other day, and they said, I can't remember word by word, but they were saying that when you actually give what you've got to Krishna, someone said, how would I get more money? And the devotee said, you give all that you've got to Krishna. So that means I got nothing. You'll be surprised how Krishna reciprocates. He said, immediately money comes again. Well, it was in New York one devotee. He just gave $35,000 to some project. And, oh, thank you. Oh, I thought you were coming to sponsor a box of Gitas. Jai, wonderful. Whoa, look at this. What wonderful Vaishnavas. Haribol, thank you. And just that very week, someone or other, he was an elderly man, his son had a pay rise of exactly $35,000. Exactly, same amount. That's his experience in life. He's always giving and he's always receiving, unexpectedly. So we depend on Krishna, of course, whatever he gives. We're not doing it for that, by the way, but Krishna always provides. The more you give, the more you get. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So I'll start the class now. That was the preamble. Are we ready? Actually, I was going to talk about something specific tonight. We hardly mentioned a word of it. But some of the time flew by. I can't believe it. It's 7:20. How is it possible? That's almost 2 hours. That's impossible. That's impossible. I don't believe it. Where's it gone? Where did it go? Someone took the time away. Am I still on American time or something? I'm on French time, that's what it is. Hour ahead. 6:20 now. No, they're an hour ahead, aren't they? Yeah, my watch says 7:20, but it'll be must be 6:20 here. Is it 6:20?
No, 7.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You haven't put the clocks back yet?
No.
I thought you put the clocks back. I thought they went back last night. Oh my God, I had the wrong. I thought they went back last night. I put my clock back 1 hour. Oh no. Huh?
End of October.
Oh, on Halloween. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai. So please, if you do want to sponsor, how much is a box?
175 for the ship.
Hey, come on, that's more than Soho Street. You get it cheaper in Soho Street, don't you? No, Bhagavad Gita.
Bhagavad Gita is 108.
Oh, it's cheaper than Soho Street. Hey, did you hear that, Vaishnava? Hey? They're taking advantage of all those rich people up there in Moore Park. 108, how many books in the box?
25.
And there's 25, there's 20 in the Soho boxes. They're more expensive, there's only 20 in the box. Go, you guys are really, phew, I'm going to report you to the Sankirtan minister. Extortionate. 25 books for 108?
Sorry, I'm wrong. 20 books.
20 books, okay, they've gone down, okay, a bit more reasonable there. For a box of Bhagavad Gitas, if you sponsor it, it's just 108 euros. That's a very auspicious number.
Pounds, euros.
Oh, pounds, sorry, pounds. I thought you were going to sponsor for France. For in England, 108 pounds. The 20 Bhagavad Gitas, there's not much, is it? Nothing much, really. How much do we spend on other things, I don't know. 108 pounds is not much when you look at it, really. I mean, it is a lot, but it's not. We spend so much money on, or you don't, but I mean, look how much money people spend on cigarettes. Huh? If you work it out, thousands of pounds a year. Tens of thousands some people spend just on cigarettes, practically. Beer, football matches. How much did it cost to go to the football match, for instance?
Yeah.
Pardon? Anyone know?
Yeah, 100 at least.
£100 maybe just to go to watch one match. And you lose. You wish you never went, you know. You spend £100, you know. Then you got a parking ticket on your car when you get out. And you crash your car on the way home. You go to the pub, you're so miserable you get drunk. And you smash someone and you end up in prison. What a horrible way to go about life. What a way to spend £100. This is eternal benefit for you and others. Give the gift. So you are the one who's organizing this one?
Not me. Sponsorship is managed by Vrindavan Nath.
Who's that? Hands up, please. Sponsor, organizers. Who are they? Who are they? There's a sponsor. He's got 108 already written on him. 108 on his shirt. Look, there it is. 108. Who are the devotees who are organizing the sponsorship? Hands up, please. Thank you, Prabhu. Who else? Anyone else? What's your name?
Vrindavan Nath Das.
Vrindavan Das Das.
Vrindavan Nath
Das
Das.
Das. Vrindavan Nath Das. Very nice. Thank you, Prabhu. If you want to go to Vrindavan, this is the secret. Yes, the Lord of Vrindavan, Radharani. Hare Krishna. So please see Vrindavan Nath Prabhu if you want to sponsor. And if you want to distribute, you organize the distributors, do you? See Satyabhama. Let's get together. Let's do something very special. Yes, that's the Queen's Council said. What he's done is impossible for a human. He actually used the word impossible for a human being. It's not possible. That was his appraisal of what Prabhupada did. And we can't do what Prabhupada did, but at least we can assist him a little bit in that movement. That's his movement. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So now we're having Arti. Arti is beginning. Done? Oh, they did it behind the curtains. And now you're going to close the curtains again. You're going to have one or two. Jayanitai Prabhu will now lead us in kirtan.
We can do the kirtan.
Huh?
We can do the kirtan.
He's in the kitchen.
No, we can do the kirtan.
Kirtan.
Do the kirtan.
Kirtan. Yeah, maybe is Jayanitai Prabhu there?
No.
Oh,
Mr. Go.
he's already gone, huh? Oh dear. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Premanandi. Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Of course, that's you could say, the essence of it all. The chanting of the holy name, which is the real transformational activity, to spread it all over the world. Every town and every village, may the holy name be heard and chanted. So there's also the foundational aspect, you could say, of the whole mission, including the distribution of books, is to inspire everyone to chant the holy name of Krishna. Hare Krishna, but you need conviction to do that. Without the knowledge, it generally doesn't last, or it doesn't go deep. It has to have the right conception also as we chant Hare Krishna, right?
Yes.
Correct? Yes?
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
yes. Okay, good. Confirmed. Hare Krishna, everybody, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. You've got to get back on your seagulls and head off, have you? How many came? Where did you park your seagulls? Where are the seagulls?
They're
On the
eating
roof?
chips outside, Marsh.
They're in the chip shop right now. They're getting the best of what they can up here in South Norwood. Oh, look at that. Oh, sponsoring a book. Hare Krishna. Oh, bless. Hare Krishna.
His Holiness Srinanda Maharaj ki.
Yay! Yay! Oh, sorry. Hare Krishna.
So